Hello, my name is Bethany, and today I'll be talking about Molly Pitcher. Molly Pitcher was a culmination of a few different women that combined to create this woman of legend during the Revolutionary War. But for today's purposes, I'm going to concentrate on Mary Ludwig Hayes. And the reason why I'm going to concentrate on her is because uh, the information I found made her the most prominent person to become the legend of Molly Pitcher. Now, in 1778, Mary had decided to follow her husband, who signed up for the war 2 years previously, and she joined the same unit, which was the artillery unit from Pennsylvania under the leader of Captain Francis Proctor. What made Mary the legend that she is today as Molly Pitcher was that during the war, during one of the battles, it was the battle at Monmouth in New Jersey, she was the woman who, among other women, would get the water from the river or water source nearby and bring them to the men who were on the battlefield. That was very tiring work, and they were uh, in and amongst the bullet shots and cannon fire like everybody else on the field, and they didn't have guns or weapons. But during one of her journeys from the river to bring her fellow soldiers water, she saw her husband fall from an injury by his cannon. So according to one story, after she held him in her arms and looked around, she was so filled with rage at what was happening that she took up his position at the cannon and began taking his job, firing the cannon into the enemy field. Now, this is one story. The other story don't make it so as dramatic as her holding and cradling her husband's head, but it is a true story based on an article that I had found called, Will the Real Mary Pitcher Please Stand Up? A weird name, I know, but it was from the National Archives, and in that article it had a journal entry from one of the soldiers who was named Joseph Plum Martin, and the entry from his journal that he wrote stated, when in the act of reaching a cartridge and having one of her feet as far before the other as she could step, a cannon shot from the enemy passed directly between her legs, without doing any damage, then carrying away all the lower part of her petticoat. Looking, she observed that it was lucky it did not pass a little higher, for in that case it might have carried away something, and then she continued with her occupation. I found this kind of interesting because one of the details that I found about Mary Hayes was that she was a 22-year-old pregnant woman who decided to join the army. And the interesting thing about that is that according to another article at St. Mary's University called Mary Pitcher, it was more safe for the woman on the battlefield than it was for them at home. So having a pregnant woman on the battlefield was safer than being home by herself. Just kind of shows you what danger they were living in at that time. And Mary kind of endeared herself to the soldiers because they in the real Mary Pitcher Please Stand Up article, it stated that she could swear with the best of the soldiers, and she also smoked and chewed tobacco. She was basically one of the guys, which is really interesting, because you would think women from those times would learn to be a lady, and they had to learn to be proper, and they had to learn all these things, but she decided to be safe with her husband, hang out with the guys, and smoke and chew while she was pregnant on a battlefild. And these women during the Revolutionary War were very strong, very courageous, and they handled themselves in a way that I couldn't even imagine doing it now. Thank you for your time.